Alright, so I'm going to answer some of these Redditor questions. Somebody actually asked me, what's your body fat? I'm 5'4" as well, but weigh a bulky 140. I'm curious, how long have you been lifting? Alright, so I actually got my body fat checked about 14 weeks ago before I started dieting down. I used the local recreational services wellness center at the University of Iowa, and now the way that she tracked, her name's Heidi, the way that Heidi tracked my body fat was she did 3 different measurements, one on my stomach, one on my quads, and then one on my upper chest. Now, she told me that I was about 10% body fat, and I'm going to say that's probably way off. I'll probably show some pictures, but if you look at some of the before pictures of before I started dieting down, I think I'm at least 12%. Now there is a plus or minus 2 error in the body fat, but that's kind of a lot, you know, especially when you get down. If I had to take a guess, I would say 7% body fat right now, 7.5% body fat. I do hold a lot of water, which I think is kind of important to say too. Is when I first started dieting, I actually initially started at 151, and when I first started dieting, I lost like 6 pounds in the first week just from cleaning up the foods that I was eating just a little bit and implementing cardio. So I contribute that mostly to water. How long have I been lifting? I've been lifting for 6.5 years now. The first couple years, really didn't know what I was doing, but I would say I've been bodybuilding for the last 3 or 4, really taking into consideration my diet. Alright, second question. This one made me laugh. Giant Slayer, like the known prestige class in D&D 3.5. Honestly, I'm pretty sure D&D is Dungeons and Dragons. No idea what that means, but we're gonna say it is prestige class. Okay, that's my answer, prestige class. How much would a fellow manlet of 5'7" have to weigh to pull off similar aesthetics? So I'm 5'4", right? And 3 inches is actually a pretty good amount of height difference, specifically when you're bodybuilding and you're training. So with that being said, I would say 20 pounds more, maybe the 150 range. Everybody kind of, holds weight differently. I think it's kind of crazy. I definitely think, and I've heard from a lot of people, that I look a lot bigger than I am. And I really have no conclusion on why I'm, so light. But the fact is I feel like I have smaller joints and kind of more a rounder shape, which really makes my body look bigger than what it probably really is. So I definitely think that genetics do play some sort of role. I also have a really, really tiny waist. I'd say about 25 inches is about my waist size. Alright, hey man, I'm 5'5". Just wanted to say that you're an inspiration to me. Kudos, keep that shit up. Could you give us some information about your background? Alright, how you got started, tips and tricks. Would love to see you post to Progress as well. Alright, a little bit of background on me. I consider myself, technically I started training when I was about 4 years old. My dad is a master in, well actually he's a black belt, sorry, he's not up to that prestige yet. He's a black belt in Taekwondo, which is a form of martial arts for those of you that don't know. And I remember him taking me to Taekwondo when I was like 4 years old. Crazy part, it's probably one of the first memories of my life. And the crazy part about it was in like a small town in Illinois, and our dojang was actually, I walked up like 3 flights of very like rickety stairs into this dungeon type place, cement floors, no carpeting or anything like that, and we would do knuckle push-ups. And I remember like the cement coldness on my hands. Like that's kind of one of my first memories of life, which is kind of crazy to think about. So I did Taekwondo off and on, so I was about 12, and then a buddy of mine in middle school was like, hey man, you should wrestle. And I was like, really? You think I could be good at that? He was like, yeah, whatever. I wrestled at 90 pounds, no technique whatsoever. For those wrestlers out there, you might be able to understand what I'm talking about. I would do this thing called the bear hug, where literally every match I would just run up to my opponent, hug them, squeeze them as tight as I can. They drop to the ground and I pin them. That was like, if I didn't pin that person in a minute, I probably wasn't gonna win the match. Like, that's just how it was. But I was really good, just because I could like literally just outmuscle everybody. So I did, I wrestled for only a year in high school, just because I was getting my ass kicked. And when you get your ass kicked, you get discouraged. And I knew that, at the time, I thought that quitting was the best idea for me. Now I look back and I'm like, damn, if I would have just stuck with it, learned a little bit of technique, I'd probably be pretty good by now. But, so I did the wrestling, and then I started training the beginning of my senior year at the age of 17. And like I said earlier, I had no idea what I was doing. My best friend, actually, Evan, maybe he's watching this, you better be watching this, Evan. He would actually, was really a good wrestler, or at least strong wrestler, I wouldn't say necessarily good. And I remember I would take him down all the time. He was kind of around my size, a little taller. And then, like, once junior year came around, he started kicking my ass, and I, like, didn't understand it. I was like, how the hell did you get so damn strong? And he was just talking to me. He's like, man, dude, I've been working out for the last, like, year doing these weights. Like, you should come hang out with me. We'll go train. So we went and started training at a very, very small gym. Not much equipment, like legitimately a bench press, squat rack. That was like some cables. That was about the extent of it. And we started really building a solid foundation thereon. We would bench every day because we had egos and we were in high school. We'd also do arms every day because, we thought girls loved big arms. But, so, I did that for a while. And then I graduated high school, went to a year of community college, just wasn't excelling. Decided that I should move down to Atlanta, Georgia to live with my dad. Decided to jump down there, lived with him for a little while. And during that time, that year that I spent down in Atlanta, I grew a love for bodybuilding. I mean, I'd been training for about 3 years. My progress started to stall. And I was just like, man, how do I get better? How do I get better? I went to a gym with a very well-known amateur bodybuilder who I still look up to now. And, I would train at the same times that he would train because he was a big motivation for me. And, I'd say what's up to him every now and then and stuff. So, it kind of kept me on track. And I looked at him and I was like, man, I would love to be like that. That's kind of where the passion grew. And I decided that I wanted to be a kid still. I wanted to go back to school. So I came back up north, back to Illinois, and then decided to go to the University of Iowa, which is where I've been for the last 2 years. Now, as far as competitions, that kind of stuff, I did do a powerlifting competition 2 years ago. It's a very small one, and honestly, I dieted like a bodybuilder because I wanted to see what I could accomplish in 11 weeks. So I did that. Have never competed in natural or NPC type bodybuilding contests. Not really quite sure if that's something I'm interested in. I love the sport of bodybuilding, to be honest. But at the same time, I think that, I do this for me. And although I'm a very competitive person, I'm trying to figure out, like, what I could prove if I competed. Like, I mean, I would compete at the bantamweight in the NPC, and that's something that I feel like I could be really good at. I think I could dominate, to be honest with you guys, just because of my frame. I think if you give me a couple more years, I could get my pro card at 142 pounds. But at the same time, it's like, what am I really trying to prove to myself? I don't really know if I'm going to compete. So a little bit of background, and I will try to post on this progress. I'm really new to really new to Reddit. Didn't even really know it exists until about a month ago. So just saying. All right, tall guy here, and I'm Myron. Shit, I'm Myron too. Any post routine diet info. So as far as my training routine, it's a 3-day split. I've actually kind of switched it up a little bit. 3-day split normally is push, pull, legs, which I'm sure you guys on this forum are probably pretty aware of at this point. I train like that because I used to really look up to Lee Haney, and Lee Haney would train like that. So push would be triceps, chest, shoulders. Pull would be back, biceps, forearms, and then legs would be quads, hamstrings, calves. But I have switched it up a little bit. I've been doing chest and arms together, back and shoulders together, and then legs. As far as taking days off, honestly, I only take days off when I need it. I could go 10 days without taking a day off. I don't believe in overtraining. I think it's full of shit. I do cardio, and I do that every morning, fasted, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are aware of people doing it fasted. Don't take any supplements in the morning, drink some water, drink some coffee, and just go do cardio. Diet info, right now I'm pretty big in the macronutrients. Right now I'm at about, I think it's about 2,100 calories-ish, 50 fat, 200 protein, and about like, I think it's, what is it, 250 carbs. Right now, I started off dieting at about 2,800. Someone asked me later on why 2,000 calories. To be honest, I could do one of two things, and you guys probably are aware of this too. You can do one of two things when you're dieting. You can either take away calories, or you can up your cardio. Well, I like to eat, so instead of really taking my calories down too much, I up my cardio. But at the same time, I wanted to kind of continue to receive gains. I am 132 pounds, so I don't probably need that many calories. So in order to stay in a deficit, I had to do more cardio. But I just kept, for a while, I just kept depleting calories. If I was stalling out, plateauing 1 week, I would just take take away 200 grams of calories, and probably in the form of fat. Like that's kind of, I can survive off of higher carbs. A lot of people feel like, oh, I'm carb sensitive. I think it's full of shit. Unless a doctor's told you that, I don't think you should worry about worry about eating carbs, honestly. So yeah, that's kind of my macro basis. Also, okay, so what's your diet like, Austin? Like I said, I answered that. I've close same. Wow, this one's really kind of, the grammar is really strange. I have close to the same stats as you, 5'6", 129 pounds, but definitely not as big as you. So, like I said, I've been training for, 6.5 years now. It doesn't happen overnight. And honestly, my progress has been fairly slow compared to a lot of people. The heaviest I've ever got up to, though, is about 165. I should post those pictures, too, because I was still in fairly decent shape at 165. I was eating, like, legitimately everything in sight, pretty dirty bulk. But I was doing some cardio, so I think I was able to digest that a little bit better. But like I said, everybody's different. 5'6", probably pretty thin, to be honest. 129 pounds. I mean, like I said, an inch or 2 inches or 3 inches in the bodybuilding world can mean a lot. That's, so I would say, try not to compare yourself to me. Maybe look at somebody like, I think Matt Ogus, which I'm sure you guys are all familiar with. I think he's 5'6". He's like 180 pounds, but